So if you had a free hand to completely redesign the MBA program, if you were able to start with zero base without any of the baggage of the past, and given, the sort of situation we are in today, the challenges India faces, how would you just completely redesign or visualize MBA education?
One of the sessions I take with MBA students is learning what to learn. They really are not very clear as to why and what they need to pick out of the MBA program. Every rule of business, used to get upturned every 20 years. Now it gets upturned every 5 years. I think that's fundamentally one way to think about life. Earlier you taught people that, fixed costs were bad, variable costs are great, build a business like that, and Amazon Prime comes, inverts the whole model of the entire industry on that. It says, I'll build a wall of fixed costs, drive down my variable costs, and voila, you have a business that's completely will kill Walmart in a year or two, will overtake Walmart in a year or two, or completely, absolutely different cost structure. So is cost important or is marginal cost important? Is how do you decide on the inputs for a business? How do you decide on strategy? So I think all of these things are changing so rapidly that one of the challenges that we have to is to how to engender curiosity in young MBAs, because that's going to be the biggest thing, that they need to become curious about how things work. You realize, see these examples of these companies and new business models which are running at which are learning examples for them, which have nothing to do with what we have been teaching in business school. That you need to self-learn all the time. There is very little except the basic construct that an MBA program can give you. But the bigger job is therefore to make you curious, make the student themselves realize the responsibility of becoming aware, of reading, of studying, of when they open an app in their phone, looking behind as to what could be the driving forces. How does a business model work? And create mental models of the world. It's no longer, the desire to create more and more mental models is important, because none of us can teach them all the mental models. My sense is that they need to go in as the most flexible of mind people in the firms they join. I still see them learning in silos in subjects. Sure. That's my sense. It's seen as a silo that I have learned finance, I have learned strategy, I have learned HR. I mean, each of these, I don't know whether the interconnections are so clearly, I don't think they can be taught. I think they have to approach them with the idea that I need to learn the interconnectedness.
I am a firm believer in experience, which is consumer experience. That's where everything lands. So I agree that MBA is where the future leaders will come from. And now for that leadership to be able to come to with the right decisions, they need to be at all times in touch with the touchy-feely, getting their legs wet, muddied and everything. For me, what COVID is saying actually is, we are all so shocked, we are under lockdown. I postulate that Gen Z was under lockdown for quite a few years. They've all been leading, their existence in silos, splendid isolation, living with their gadgets, following an education system of reward and punishment and cutoff points and, percentages. I totally agree with Haresh that things are changing every 5 years. And that sort of system, if you keep on, utilizing and getting people, you will continue to get people who lead atomized existence. We are talking of the future of MBA, unfortunately not all education. And I believe that the education system before the MBA is not just in the ICU, it's in the morgue. Indian kids have learned to beat the system. One of the biggest frustrations I have as a practitioner, being in the corporate world, this many decades, is that the moment you hear somebody is an MBA, the first thing we believe is that they are an excellent FAF master or FAF mistress. Okay, they know how to game the system. They know how to be very smart. And if I were in charge of an MBA, I would say, kill the system of taking people. There are excellent young people out there. We are never getting to them. I'm going to take some dyslexic students. I'm going to take some students who've done something fantastic in creative field, maybe artists, maybe drama, maybe whatever. I'll take some people who have been first generation entrepreneurs, some who are perhaps, family business, and take a mix of those, the kind of class you will have. And of course, then in terms of what you teach, I again agree with Haresh in terms of, why doesn't MBA allow you to choose and pick? Your eyes just open up. You can have courses, classes from the best in the industry. So people who can teach you corporate governance, gender studies, microeconomics, not just how to read a balance sheet, but how is it that those Indian companies keep, doing this hera-fairy with balance sheets.
How are you going to deal with the HR managers?
HR managers want CAT marks. I'm saying that I think a lot of the senior management and the board of directors of the very same companies that these HR managers coming from, if you talk to them, they will tell you where is that person who thinks out of the box. So I think the disconnect is within the company.
The system will change only slowly. At some point, the reputation of the institute will have to outweigh, and that outcome will take years to come out.
I'm going to begin by being even more provocative, which is, do we even need an MBA? Now, I asked this question partially rhetorically, because it's in my interest and a few others' interest that the answer is yes, which I actually believe is yes. The balance that we need is, we need to understand how to commercialize something. That's where I see the weakness. If you look at the Silicon Valley model, and it's being replicated in Bangalore and other places as well, pour a whole bunch of money into a bunch of experiments, right? A lot of that money is wasted. Now, you can argue that to some extent that's okay because you're investing in wild ideas, and that's part of the process. Like Piyul was also saying, Harish was alluding to it. But you also have to have some output, because in the end, if you look at the amount that's invested and what's come out of it in the form of unicorns that are actually sustainable and profitable, not loss-making, not just market cap, it's not that much, so I'll leave that part aside. But the point is, we need commercialization. And I think that's where the MBA can be very, very useful. When I think of India, though, I see an opportunity for India to leapfrog. And I see a necessity for India to leapfrog. Why? Traditional educational models will not work in India. They won't scale. In India's case, and also I think in the global case, we need to think much more about this balance between what do we need and what do we have, but also in particular, when do we need to learn what? One problem the Western model has never been able to solve is, we teach you in 2 years all kinds of things, some of which you can use immediately, like maybe the finance skills or the accounting skills. The other things like leadership, for example, and strategy, or even M&A or alliances and how to manage those, you're not going to do that when you're fresh out of any MBA program. You'll need those skills 10 years, 15 years down the road. So for me, the biggest innovation is, how do we match not only what is needed in the workplace, but rather when it is needed in the workplace. The good manager understands why they're doing something and what works under what conditions, and then they can go to another context and be effective. In India, layer on top of that the adaptation, the management of uncertainty, which is in everybody's blood because you're dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. And that's really, I think, what Harish and Piyul were also talking about earlier as well. So we need to rethink the MBA along those lines as well. Adapt to the circumstances, use the foundations, understand what we do, but then also think about it as on-demand, real-time, lifelong learning. I used to think, why is executive education even necessary? Why do people come back? It's because we can offer examples, we can abstract away the insights, we can provide tools and frameworks which give you a more comprehensive picture. So I believe in rigor and relevance. I believe that we need to be even more rigorous, because frankly speaking, there are a lot of bad theories out there. For every company that's successful now, there are many more that fail. And we never talk about those.
I was talking to someone in McKinsey, and I had friends in Levers as well. So sometime back, I spoke to them, and I discovered that both these companies have also been recruiting directly from colleges like Stephens and Lady Shriram, and 2 years ago, and with a fairly high salary comparable to probably any IIM. So I was just talking, why would you go directly? Because typically you would just go to all the IIMs and pick up guys. And the answer was very simple. It says, look, the kind of education now that is being imparted in the business schools is so siloed. We need people with more integrative thinking. When I'm solving a problem as a manager of my company, The problem could be from sales, but the source could be finance or HR. What is his role in an organization? What is he supposed to do after maybe 2 or 3 years? He's supposed to solve problems. Second issue is, what kind of companies are they joining now? Today, more and more people are joining companies like Facebook, Google, many startups. So these companies come back to us saying, give us job-ready people. Now, what does job-ready people mean? I was talking to a couple of Google guys who joined about 2 years ago. I said, what are you guys doing in Google? Okay, one day I'm looking at media selling in Google. The other day I'm getting involved with a new product development because of things are moving so fast. So it's a mixed bag. So, Prof, what we were taught in the preschool, the silo thinking, somehow it doesn't work. I wish we had more integrative subjects.
Who is this animal who is going to teach in these programs? There's a huge faculty challenge, right? And one of the
Yes.
things we have done in, obviously in all our institutions is it's partly required by rules, but we have largely gone for people with PhDs. I mean, in the IIMs, it's 100% people with PhDs. But what you guys are calling for is something very different. So where is this faculty animal going to come from?
If you recall, and this is what I have figured out, many people from the industry, likes of Drucker, Bruce Henderson, and host of consulting firms were involved in creating a lot of content for business school. If you just pick up all these frameworks, many frameworks were developed by the consulting firms.
Very simply, getting a industry specialist to come and give a guest lecture leaves no impact. Running a course is tough work. I don't know what the constraints are. This PhD system will not, we won't get the best talent to come and teach. I mean, not a question of talent. You won't get the best suite of experiences available to give to the students. I think that's the way to think about it. So I think within your MBA curriculum, right, you have constraints, but you also have freedom. So is there a way to add on a bunch of courses or electives that are run and conducted by faculty from outside who are working people, and find a way to incentivize them? In a sense, if there is a way a professor can co-opt people and develop a course with them, I think India, you will have to do it because things are changing so fast.
I think the thing is right now, the challenges, and you see it, Rishi, too, at any of these B schools, about 20% of the faculty are these rigor and relevance people. People who can navigate seamlessly between both worlds. They're the ones who are also the ones you hear about. They're the ones who take the leadership positions. They're also the ones who are sought after advisors to the highest level of management. So they're the people that are actually useful in this because they can translate between both worlds, right? Now, the benefit that the traditional PhD, if they have that orientation and that connection, maybe even working with companies and getting primary data instead of just relying on secondary data for their work, is that they can do the abstraction. They can create the frameworks, the tools, which will work in not just one industry. The advantage of the practitioner is they obviously see what's going on and they can translate that to impact right away, right? And they have their own experiences. How do you marry the two? I think a structure where you have a pairing, you have courses where you've got one person who's more traditional from academia but has an appreciation and taste and engages often with industry, together with a thoughtful practitioner. I'll purposefully use the word thoughtful practitioner because not all practitioners are also the ones who can make the leap, the connection to the abstract, for what both Harsh and Harish were saying. I think pairing those two works really well.
Who are in the corporate world and are seeking the challenge of teaching, but there is a sense that we are also sometimes blindsided by academic faculty. This co-teaching is a great idea. There are a lot of people who would be very happy to do it. Somebody needs to curate it who's from within the industry as versus the faculty trying to curate it who don't know.
One of the other things I'm seeing with MBA kids is they're crammed with work. You're almost there is no time to think, no time to explore, no time to read, no time to use resources beyond what is in class. Now, what is going to really the big job of the manager is how to find patterns in the world. Can you make it time for them to explore and come back and explain to you what they learned? Even here, teaching changes completely to self-learning because what you really want is them to become curious about the world.